4 reasons unrepresented parties should still use an attorney to file their case. Part of the series, Mediating with or Without Attorneys, with Ty Bourdony. Welcome to the Lawyers and Mediators International Show and Podcast by InstantMediations.com, where we discuss law and conflict resolution topics to educate both professionals and everyday people. Catch regular episodes on YouTube, the Instant Mediations app, and anywhere you get your podcasts. Just remember, nothing in these episodes constitutes legal advice, so be sure to talk to a lawyer, as cases are fact-dependent. Hi, everyone. Mac Pierre-Louis, attorney, mediator, arbitrator, working throughout Florida and Texas.
Hello, and Natalia Łowska-Czajka, advocate, mediator, and arbitrator from Warsaw, Poland.
And I'm Ty Bourdony, a full-time mediator and primary mediation trainer and arbitrator here in Orlando, Florida.
All right. Thanks, Ty, for coming back to discuss with us this time 4 reasons unrepresented parties, that's pro se parties, should still use an attorney to file their case. And the reason we're bringing this topic up is because there's a common scenario that plays out all the time, which is where people without lawyers who have a case, maybe it's a divorce case or whatever kind of case, and they need to file a lawsuit to resolve their problem, they'll go to a mediator, right? We've done it. They come to us, they go to a mediator, and the mediator helps them resolve their differences. And after they've gotten a settlement agreement and they have this nice piece of paper that says you have a perfect agreement, a perfect deal, everything you want. After that, they have the duty of taking it to court and actually converting it into a judge's judgment, right? A final decree of divorce. And at that stage, things can get a little bit complicated. They may have thought that their case was over once they've settled, but actually the hard part has just begun. And so where we have you here today to discuss with us 4 reasons why the unrepresented parties who have just done this mediation agreement should still then use an attorney to actually file their case. Please tell us about these 4 reasons.
Right. So I think the first reason is everything's already been decided. So what do I mean by that is, so assuming that your mediator is able to help you completely come to agreement on all issues. If that's the case and you have nothing that the court needs to decide because you're not arguing about anything, and that happens often enough with enough individuals, but not everybody, right? If you don't agree, we reserve on that issue for the court to make that determination for you. If the parties need that, that's great. But then everybody needs an attorney, right? What we're talking about is for those parties who can come to agreement, and there's plenty who can, and they have nothing left to be decided, that's when it is a great idea to have an attorney then pick up the case, because you only need one. Typically, they'll represent the petitioner because they cannot represent both parties. That would be a conflict of interest. But while they're technically representing one party, in essence, all they're really doing is ensuring that it's filed properly, that the paperwork that needs to be filed with the court is done properly, and because they're an officer of the court, you're now going to be able to be seen as fast as possible. But it's, again, because everything has already been decided. So it's not for everybody, right? It's for those who are able to come to complete agreement, right? They really should consider using an attorney at that point, and it's going to be as cheap as possible because all they're doing is filing and taking you to final judgment, right? There's no arguing. Everything's already been decided. So for those who can come to agreement on all issues, they can do it. Everybody can't. If you can't, everybody has to go get an attorney. Now you're going to go litigate and you're going to trial. Trying to keep it short and simple. Can you think of, well, I'll go to the second one then. Number 2 would be no paperwork to fill out, right? What do I mean by that? So if you're doing it this way and you go to a mediator, well, a mediator is only supposed to do one thing for you. We're really only supposed to, what? Mediate. We shouldn't be acting as a notary. We shouldn't be doing your paperwork. We should avoid any and all conflicts. There are some that will, But I prefer to either have a paralegal then do it, because nothing has to be decided, again, so long as everything has been agreed to, right? Because no one should be giving you legal advice unless they're an attorney. So, but it would be best if after you see the mediator and you come to a complete agreement, if you go to the attorney for one price, they will do the paperwork for you, and they will file it, and they will take you to court. Whereas if you don't, because you think you want to save money, you might be spending more money, right? Because now you got to find someone to do it yourself, right? Or you got to pay someone. Some mediators do it. I'm not one of those. I prefer not to. But the point of the matter is, people shouldn't try and do it the cheap way. They should do it the smart way, right? And another reason why you want to use an attorney is let them do the paperwork. Let them file it.
Thank you for that, Ty. I wanted to break into that because, again, we are talking about the situation where the proper order is being kept. You first do the mediation.
Yeah.
All things are clear and decided. You have a good mediation agreement. I understand this will be also of help to an attorney whom you choose to draft the divorce papers for you. Am I correct?
To draft the paperwork that typically needs to be filed in court, the petition, the answer, right? If so long as everything's been done, they can help, with all of that. That's a thick stack of paperwork sometimes that needs to get done. And when folks who aren't represented look at that paperwork, it's one thing for us who see it on a regular basis. It's another thing for someone who's never seen it before. Why would you want to know how to do that paperwork? And do you know how to? No, they typically don't, and then it's like Greek. Right. And so have someone fill out that paperwork who knows what they're doing, or the clerk's going to be calling you up. Right. People should let professionals do the jobs that need to be done by professionals.
And again, that doesn't mean that people don't go to the court at all. I understand that this is not the case. And again, we should just without giving legal advice, we can give the legal framework of how it works. So once the mediation agreement is done, the lawyer drafted the divorce papers. What happens next? Who needs to appear in the court?
Well, so then it has to get filed, right? Who files it, right? Your mediator shouldn't be filing paperwork for you. You're either going to file it yourself, or the attorney will file it for you, right? And so the paperwork needs to get filed. And then the court process takes over, right? Whereas then in Florida, you would then be sent to someone, reviews everything, make sure it's done right. If it's not, they're going to be contacting you. And if you did it wrong, that could delay your case, right? And then they're going to send you to mediation in Florida. They will send you to mediation, and that will delay your case. And then after that, if there's anything that's left, trial, no trial, and or then you go to final judgment. But again, those cogs, that takes time, right? And the entire time, the parties who are unrepresented are worrying, are nervous, don't know what to do. Who are they calling? They're calling the mediator. The mediator can't give you legal advice, right? Who are you calling? The paralegal who did your paperwork? They can't give you legal advice. Why should you use an attorney? So you can call them. You can ask them what's going on. You can, and it's their job to take care of it for you, answer your questions, right? And that's where you get peace of mind, right? And they'll tell you what that process is.
Yeah. And so before we go into the peace of mind it offers, I'll give a couple of examples. I've had a case where parties come to me, they don't have attorneys, we resolve their case, but then for weeks later, they're calling me back asking questions. Okay, now what? Well, that's not how it works, right? We actually did a video with Fran Brockstein about this some time ago, where we discussed. I don't think it was called "Things Mediators Hate," but it's basically things that you should not do to your mediator, and that is continue to call them later on, because guess what? They can't participate later on unless it's both parties coming back from mediation, right? Because we have to wear one hat at a time. But anyway,
or because we might see you again later. We shouldn't be talking to you after.
Exactly. Yeah. So just so people know out there, there's such a thing called waivers that need to be signed if you want the mediator to get involved, or there's all these rules that we have to operate by ethically.
Yeah.
And so you don't want your mediator to be listening to one party, calling them up later on after the fact. So that's
After.
why it's very important to have this in proper order. Go
Yeah.
to the mediator, get it resolved before or until you go and get the attorney to what we call in Texas paper the case, right?
Yeah,
Because
sure,
yeah,
absolutely.
their parties do that. And one last thing, um, the sometimes a mediator may actually have a list of different attorneys who you might go to. Now,
Mhm.
a mediator shouldn't be giving you one attorney
No,
to go and see because
no.
that might be a little
Yeah,
too comfortable.
yeah.
Okay, but if a mediator has a list of different attorneys who can paper the case for you, who can take the baton, so to speak, and
Mhm.
go to the next level and actually bring it to the court, well, then that could be very, very helpful, saving you time from having to go find somebody.
Right. Right. And the mediator, we don't get compensated. We can't get referral fees,
Correct.
and that's why we should give more than one, right?
Correct.
And I will typically, give at least three, so long, because I know these individuals in that area, they're really good. This is what they do. They like doing this, right?
Yeah.
So I'm okay doing it, but I'll give at least three.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even say that they're really good just because I don't want to put
No, but they do
I don't
this,
want to
you
plant
know.
any seeds. I just simply would tell the person more than three. Hi, here are some attorneys, and this is what they do. So you can call them up and see if they can help you.
Agreed.
Natalia,
And
Natalia, go
again,
ahead.
yes, I wanted just to add up because again, this entire thing and an entire conversation, what it gives is that you follow a certain process. First, you go to to mediation. You do your mediation with the mediator. It might take one or a few meetings with the mediator until you have your mediation settlement agreement drafted and signed.
Case by
Of
case.
course, you can do it online. You can sign it electronically.
Mhm.
All pretty easy.
Mhm.
Then, only then, you find one attorney to do this paperwork for you. And not only the paperwork, as Ty has just correctly stated, also to give you this peace of mind that if any other question comes to your mind at this stage, it might be of legal nature, of how the court procedure will work in your case, whom you need to see or to bring to the court, whom you shouldn't be bringing, what else you can do to help your case. All of that is no longer the mediator's job. Of course, it is a compliment to me when the parties, after a complete mediation, call me and want to know more. But again, my work is done
Yeah.
until, and this is what I wanted to say, this is the preferred model. People should be dealing with their family issues themselves as long as they can. Of course, you can't divorce in mediation because it's a court decision, finally, a court order. However, what you can do, you can really regulate all the issues that are within your capacity. That can be the children issues, that can be the division of property issues. However, you finally do your divorce, and there might be new issues arising out of the things you agreed. And again, that opens the door for another mediation that can
Post
even
divorce.
post divorce
Yeah.
mediation that
Right.
can help you avoid going to the court. And again, if you were pleased with your mediation the very first time, this is why you, after a mediation settlement
Mm.
agreement, the so-called MSA is signed, you just leave your mediator in peace,
Yeah.
because in case you need him in the future, he's
Yeah.
still there, or he or she is still there for you.
Yeah.
So this peace of mind that Ty quotes as the third reason the parties should still use an attorney after the mediation when they are unrepresented is this peace of mind that has so many dimensions, that really gives you someone that you can ask your questions, but
Yeah.
also that gives you this peace of mind that in case anything in the future arises, you still have someone to address your issues
Mm.
amicably, avoiding the court for the future. And then,
Good point.
what would be the fourth reason that people should go to an attorney once
Yeah.
everything is already decided?
Right. A speedy judgment. So if you go to court, you can do it yourself after you mediate. If you want to file it, and most people it's like because they want to save money. Okay, I understand. You can do that, But regardless, let's say you do it perfectly, you're still getting in line as an unrepresented party, as a pro se party, in line with everyone else who has filed when you filed. And the majority of folks, at least in my circuit, are unrepresented. That means it's a long line. Whereas an officer of the court, they will be able to get you in front of the court within the statutory, right, 30, 45 days. They can get you in front of the judge. Is it going to be longer than that if you do it on your own? There's a good chance that it is, and it could be substantially longer, case by case, circuit by circuit, court by court, state by state, country by country. But the fact of the matter is, that is the process that will get you through the process faster. Using the attorney, you'll get a much more speedy resolution. You will be divorced much faster than you could if you did it yourself, right?
Yes, and I'll add that this model, all these 4 points, okay, of everything has already been decided, no paperwork needs to be filled out, you have peace of mind, and you get a speedy final judgment. All of this is optimal because it allows you to actually save a lot of money.
And time.
Yeah,
And money.
exactly. Money and time. And you don't know how many times I've been on in a docket call where a judge is going down the list of all the cases for the day, whether it's on
Yeah.
Zoom court or in person.
Yeah.
And a pro se person or two, a
Mhm.
couple maybe, will stand up and say, why they're in court that day. And you can kind of tell they don't know what they're doing because they don't do this for a living. It's not their
Right.
fault.
That's right.
But maybe they believe that they didn't have enough for an attorney. They can't afford an attorney. So they decided to just do it themselves because in the age of Google, people think they can do everything themselves. Fine. But how many times have I seen it where the court just reset the parties to come back months later?
Why?
It is because sometimes the judges themselves don't really want to deal with the pro se person who doesn't have all their papers in order.
It's not in order. That's the point, right?
From
They didn't do it right.
Exactly. Again, it's not the pro
No,
se person's
not at
fault
all.
because they
No.
don't do this for a living,
Right.
but the pro se person may not be able to afford an attorney to do it fast. So this is why this model is so
Mhm.
perfect. It allows you to go for relatively cheap to a
Yeah.
mediator, resolve the
Yeah.
dispute, and then go to an attorney who basically has one job.
For relatively cheap.
Yeah.
Not 2 attorneys, not litigation,
Yeah.
right? It's a lot. It's affordable, actually.
Exactly. So this is why I like the model.
Me
It
too.
works. I've done it before,
Yeah, me
for a
too.
lot of parties.
Yeah.
And but 17 minutes into this, guys, we got a couple minutes left. Please, guys, have your last says.
Yeah.
All of us are the Florida Supreme Court certified mediators. And what we're talking to you, to the listeners and the viewers about is all based on our practice, on the things we've seen throughout the years, on real life examples of other people, things that really happen and things that we have seen that also enable you not just go through your divorce case as a court case, but also as a stage of your life.
Yes.
This is something that gives you this benefit of being able to respect your spouse, which is about to be your ex-spouse. This is something that enables you to co-parent better. So the benefits are numerous. You just need to realize how important it is. And also, please remember, at this stage you are starting the mediation, you are thinking about divorce. You might think, no, I am not going to get any agreement with her or with him. No, it's not going to work. But then please remember, it is the work of a good mediator to bring you together to an agreement. Sometimes those differences between you are really to be overcome. A good mediator can help you find a common way to solve them, to address these issues, to improve your communication. So even if at the very first stage you don't even believe it is for you, give it a try. That would be not a legal advice, but a practical advice from a lawyer and mediator.
Ty, last word?
Yeah, well, thank you. Well said. Both of you, great examples as well. And I would tell you also, consider speaking to an attorney before you even mediate. It helps when the parties understand their positions. You don't have to go with an attorney. You can go just with a mediator, but it helps if you kind of understand it You can bring an attorney with you if you'd like, by the way. And the cost, right? People shouldn't think, oh, we got to, don't, it's not about cheap. It's about effective, and what it's because it could cost you more in so many other ways, the other way around, right? And an attorney, in Florida, the ones that I will sometimes deal with, $700-800 is all. That's not a lot of money, considering the paralegal will charge you $200-300 just to do your paperwork. So really, it's worth every penny. And again, though, for those who can come to complete agreement, everybody can't. Those that don't, you're going to trial. If you go to trial, you might need an attorney each just for trial. See how it just got more expensive, right? So great points. Well said.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank
Until
you.
next time.
See you then.
Signing off. See you soon. Bye-bye.